If convenience created apps, intelligence destroyed them.
For the last 15 years, our phones have been ruled by apps. You wanted a job? LinkedIn. A ride? Uber. A date? Tinder. There was an app for everything. But suddenly, things are changing courtesy artificial intelligence.
Jobs report shows some job gains in industries like healthcare, hospitality, and leisure, but concerns are growing about AI replacing some human workers.
Spotify already has an AI DJ. Snapchat has its own chatbot. Microsoft calls Office Copilot now.
These are the apps everyone used until AI took over. Who remembers Twitter? Twitter used to be the loudest place on the internet. If something happened anywhere to anyone, Twitter knew about it first. Celebrities fought, politicians embarrassed themselves, random people went viral for absolutely nothing. And somehow it all felt important. Even memes were born there. It wasn't just a social app anymore. But the thing is, Twitter wasn't built for the artificial intelligence era. It was built for opinions, arguments, and chaos. 3 things AI is terrifyingly good at removing. Once those artificial generated news summaries blew up, people realized they didn't need to scroll through 200 angry tweets to understand what happened. It now could summarize the entire story in one clean paragraph, no drama, no doom scrolling, no ratio, no people yelling at strangers for sport. And when it started generating instant threads, posts, and opinions, Twitter hit a strange identity crisis. If a bot can give you the whole story in 5 seconds, why read the timeline for 20 minutes? And as these posts, news summaries, and commentary spread, Twitter began to feel less like a global conversation and more like a crowded room where no one sounded human anymore. Duolingo was the most loved learning app on the planet. It was fun, simple, and just annoying enough to keep you practicing without feeling like homework. The voices were goofy, the sentences were bizarre, and the whole thing felt like a quirky game with a green bird cheering you on. But then the app went AI first, and that literally changed everything. Suddenly, the old human-made lessons were replaced with artificial-generated exercises that felt generic and repetitive. The original voices, the ones people grew up with, were swapped out for new voices that sounded flat and lifeless. Entire courses were reworked using artificial intelligence, and longtime users felt like their favorite teacher had been replaced by a robot. Then came the chatbots, role plays, pronunciation tests, all locked behind paywalls. The app that used to motivate people became the app that constantly upsold them. Longtime users weren't impressed. They weren't learning faster, they were getting annoyed. And just like that, Duolingo lost what made it special: personality. Before we move on with Spotify, I want to ask you for some help. My goal is to reach 100 subscribers before the end of this year, and you can help me with that. So if you like the video, don't forget to subscribe. Spotify used to feel personal. Your playlists were yours. Your Discover Weekly felt like it actually knew you. Music felt curated, not calculated. Okay, it wasn't perfect, but it had something. But then, Spotify went all in. The more people used it, the more it felt like Spotify was deciding what you should listen to instead of what you wanted. Suddenly, playlists didn't feel handmade. They felt machine assembled. Same vibes, same artists, same safe recommendations over and over. And when Spotify started pushing artificial generated playlists, radio stations, and even experimenting with generated tracks, users began to feel like the platform was drifting away from music discovery and toward a giant algorithm feeding itself. Some longtime users complained their recommendations got worse. Others said every playlist started sounding the same, and nothing kills music faster than that. LinkedIn used to be this professional scrapbook. Sure, people exaggerated a little, but at least it felt human. Real people, real jobs, real stories about promotions and failures, and I'm excited to share. But when AI rolled in, the tone shifted fast. Suddenly, everyone's profile read the same. Artificial intelligence rewrote resumes, suggested perfect headlines, drafted posts that sounded clean, polished, and absolutely identical. You couldn't tell who actually wrote what anymore. People weren't sharing achievements, they were pasting templates. Comment sections turned into motivational buzzword soup. Job seekers used AI to mass apply to hundreds of openings, And recruiters used to autofilter them right back out. And LinkedIn, once awkward but genuine, started feeling like a workplace run by robots pretending to be inspirational. Okay, next up we have 5 apps who had a different approach, but somehow still lost everything. I'm curious what you think of them. Who used to have Calm or Headspace? Or maybe even both? These 2 apps used to feel like a soft place to land after a long, chaotic day. Actually, they still feel the same way. The soothing voices, the guided meditations, the bedtime stories. It was simple, predictable, and genuinely helped people relax without overthinking anything. But then those AI wellness apps exploded. Suddenly, people had artificial generated therapists, journaling coaches, meditation guides, breathing assistants, and full companions that checked in on their mood and tailored sessions specifically to their stress level that day. Robotic wellness apps adapted instantly. Feeling anxious? It generated a custom meditation. Feeling angry? It walked you through it. Feeling overwhelmed? It was a grounding exercise based on your exact thoughts. Calm and Headspace couldn't keep up with personalization that fast. They still offer their human voices, their human scripts, but in the same format millions of people had already heard. Could that be the problem? Now, who remembers Grammarly? If you're into writing anything, an email, a school paper, a caption, Grammarly is the quiet little angel on your shoulder, fixing your embarrassing typos and saving you from sounding like a maniac. For years, it was the go-to writing assistant. It was clean, simple, and reliable. And then AI writing tools blew the doors off the industry. Suddenly, people are rewriting entire paragraphs, changing tone, generating ideas, summarizing articles, crafting messages, and even writing full essays in seconds. This writing tool, which once felt cutting edge, suddenly felt tiny. The app tried to catch up by slapping on its own AI features, but for many users it was too late. When you can write, rewrite, translate, and polish anything in one place, switching back to a glorified spell checker probably feels like going from a Tesla to a bicycle. Next up, we have Craigslist. This app honestly didn't do anything wrong. It didn't scam anyone, at least not directly. It didn't suddenly down its users in annoying AI features. But was that their problem maybe? Craigslist was the last website on Earth that refused to grow up. No algorithm, no app polish, no smart features. Just a plain white page with blue links like the internet never left 2002. And honestly, people loved it for that. It was simple, direct, and a little dangerous. It was the digital version of meeting a stranger behind a gas station to buy a lawnmower. But when artificial intelligence started reshaping every other marketplace, Craigslist's charm turned into a problem. Other platforms now wrote listings faster, suggested prices quicker, verified identities by bots, and even cleaned up photos automatically. Suddenly, buying and selling didn't feel like rolling the dice anymore. Artificial intelligence took over apps, but Craigslist stayed frozen in time. They did nothing wrong, but was doing nothing at all their problem? And now, Yahoo Messenger. Yahoo Messenger was the childhood chat room for an entire generation. The goofy emojis, the alert sounds, the endless status messages. It was the place where you talked to your first crush, your best friend, or a stranger from school you hoped would notice you. But the internet grew fast, and Yahoo, they never actually did. While modern messaging apps added smart features, instant photo sharing, read receipts, group chats, voice messages, video calls, Yahoo Messenger stayed stuck in the early 2000s. And when AI-powered messaging arrived with smart replies, auto-translation, voice-to-text, Yahoo Messenger wasn't even in the race anymore. So you tell me, is AI taking over a good thing or a bad thing? Because when there's too much AI, everything starts to feel cold and empty. But when there's too little, you somehow get left behind. What's the right balance? At last, we have Tinder. A real-life dating app that used to feel exciting, chaotic, messy, awkward. Yeah, sure, but definitely exciting. You'd swipe, match, send a questionable opener, and somehow it all worked out often enough to keep you hooked. It felt human, unpredictable, and a little ridiculous, which is exactly why people loved it. But then dating apps started leaning into AI. Yes, even dating apps. More smart matches. More algorithmic recommendations. More perfectly curated profiles that felt like they'd been edited by a marketing team. Suddenly, swiping felt less spontaneous, and more like being guided down a hallway Tinder thought you'd like. And the rise of artificial generated polished, or can we call them fake, photos and even dating coaches didn't help. Real conversations got replaced by generic, overly smooth messages that sounded like they were written by the same chatbots. People weren't getting fewer matches, they were getting fewer connections. Tinder slowly is becoming predictable, repetitive, filtered, over-optimized. They were once the wild frontier of modern dating, but are now starting to feel like a polished simulation instead of meeting real people. Some apps collapsed because they chased too hard. Others fell behind because they didn't use it at all. And somewhere in the middle, the rest of us are just trying to keep up. A little can make life easier, but too much? Everything starts to feel empty. But refusing to evolve maybe isn't the answer either. The internet moves too fast for that. So, you tell me, is artificial intelligence taking over apps good or extremely bad?